not so many days ago, I put the question to the lot of you. What challenges would you like to see your old captain take on? And while I can't be getting to all of them immediately, there were one what stood out as something a tad more easily performed. A request for me to go on a fishing trip. But not just any fishing trip, no. I were on the hunt for one sort in particular. The elusive shadow stormfish. Them beauties be a proper pain in the ass to try and catch, meaning they'd be a considerable value to the hunter's call. So, after purchasing a box full of invertebrates, I set sail, ignoring every ounce of common sense in me body, and headed towards the storm. Now, it'd be worth making mention that once again, I were sailing on a ship aside from me Fumble plunder. Aye, by matter of fact, I were embarking upon the Megalodon's Maw, a fishing vessel what were given to me as a gift from Merrick's family. Kind-hearted folks that they be. And, might I add, a fair touch more, understanding about the condition a ship be in than certain other people what I've met. Mavis. But we can be discussing me gripes with certain members of the Merchants Alliance another time. I've a tale to tell after all. Now, where were I? I were sailing directly into the storm, struggling to keep the wheels straight as I sought to cut through the wind and the gale. For you see, even it be stormfish you seek, as one would expect by the name, it be a storm what you need to follow. Heaven only knows why the blackguards be so fond of them conditions. I'd hazard a guess that it be to avoid predators, were it not for the fact that these waters be chock full of things far meaner than a wee bit of rain. Well, whatever the reason, the pursuit of ideal conditions led me to the docks of the old Sea Dogs Tavern. You know, I never were able to work up the nerve to try me hand in the arena, you know, before its closure, and DeMarco's subsequent murder. It'd be a proper shame, that. Ah, well, live and learn. My first proper bite of the voyage were a twilight stormfish. A nice catch, to be sure, but not quite the fish I were looking for. I would have stayed there a tad longer, but a sound carried by the wind told me that perhaps it weren't the best of ideas to linger. Seems to me like that sloop had to take on a skeleton galleon. Well, so long as I ain't got to be doing nothing like that. I suppose that'd be an occupational hazard of working in a storm. You can't quite be seeing them beacon clouds in the sky what be warning ye of things like this. Lucky enough for me, I were able to avoid getting any closer than I already were. So none of them undead battleships rose up to try and bring me into their fight. Meaning I were free to do as I please, which in this case be, well, fishing. All things considered, the place I found myself in weren't hardly the worst. But I had to keep moving along lest I be, left behind by the storm. So once I'd caught me shore's stormfish, I were on the move again. You know, I feel now would be a good time to mention just how much of a pain it can be to try and track the damn thing. The winds and waves be turning me boat in all directions, me compass be going all screwy, and the choppy waters be putting enough strain on me hull to punch right through it. I were just barely managing to stay on top of all of this on me own. Now, normally I'd have invited Stretch to join me on something like this, but, well, he said he were busy working on, he called it a culinary experiment, but I'm, fairly certain it were just a mass grave and a few barrels of rum. I don't like thinking about it too much. It don't really be relevant to the story anyhow. I were planning on pulling into Port Merrick to see what I could catch from there, but, well, much to me dismay, there were already a ship present. So that plan were something of a no-go. Instead, I'd need to be doing me fishing over at the Gateway Arch, and, well, I need to be hoping that I won't be getting caught. It weren't too terribly long before I got me a bite, and a damn good one, too. Trophy Twilight Stormfish, and I lost it. Okay, well, how about this next one? Surely I could catch a standard shores storm. Nope! Lost that one too. Even watch the little bastard swim away. I swear, it winked at me before going below. Well, joke's on it, the Twilight Stormfish I caught next were much prettier. So there. Sadly though, me pettiness were destined to be short-lived. The storm weren't stopping for no mere pirate, meaning I'd need to raise the anchor and be on the move once more. The storm were headed back eastward, meaning I'd be able to get ahead of it by hitting the Sea Dogs Tavern once more. Now, it don't technically be situated in any of the regions, so hopefully I'd be more likely to find me prize. You know, without the interference of any of them, other types. Thank Calypso. I won't lie, I thought we were in some trouble then. The maw be decent enough for fishing, aye, but she don't be much of one for a fight. Not to say them cannons be for show, mind ye, but they certainly weren't for going out and marauding neither. Anywho, that moment's attention aside, the storm were moving on quick like now, so I'd need to act fast to catch me fish. And in the end, I were able to add another 2 Twilight Stormfish before needing to set off and relocate. It weren't the greatest haul, no, but it wouldn't be the end of it neither. The storm next led me off the shores of the Fort of the Damned, inactive, fortunately enough. But not near as fortunate as what I felt pulling me line next. An ancient stormfish. And judging by how strong it were, I could only assume it to be a trophy at that. Aye, someone were to be eating good with this one. But not me, no. I were selling it for rum money. But, as I'm sure you all well know, no good fortune can come without a touch of disaster to follow. The water turned inky black, and I went to man the cannons. A Kraken don't be the biggest threat on a sloop, no. But the storm waves were sure to throw me off me aim. And, aye, that'd be the story I'm sticking with. Well, even with the extra layer of inconvenience, I were able to deal with the great beastie in a relatively quick manner. With the greatest injury to me being the old pride, after how many shots I'd missed. Though them wounds were quickly healed, as I scooped up the chunks of meat I blasted off of them tentacles. They'd fetch a pretty penny with the hunter's call. It took a little bit of swimming, but I were able to find all of them prime cuts, allowing me to move right along, back to hunting for stormfish, as opposed to enormous sea monsters. My next bite were something of a conundrum. See, I had me another trophy ancient stormfish on me line, but the waves had put a hole in me deck, and with a torrential downpour of rain, well, the maw were filling up quick. It were a difficult choice, and I put it off to the very end. But unfortunately, I had to let the fish go to save the ship. And believe you me, it were a close call. Perhaps me judgment don't quite be me greatest asset. Well, fine. I can live with that. There don't be a pirate alive nor dead what don't be at least a tad questionable on that front. It be the key part of our sense of adventure. That and our, general lack of self-preservation instinct. Both of which factors, interestingly enough, were why I made the choice to fight off the Megalodon what attacked me ship as I were following the storm once more. After all, I were on a fishing trip, and what be a Megalodon but a really, really big fish, eh? My guns roared as the beast encircled the ship. Shot after shot, blow after blow, striking its terrible hide, as it were sizing up what it hoped would be its next meal. But I weren't so compliant with them wishes, and I made sure to let the prehistoric abomination know. Old Merrick would be proud. I made sure to work a selling all the treasure from the shark's belly before once again heading off to chase the storm. After all, I hadn't yet caught me prize, and I weren't about to set that fishing rod down until I had. Me next catch weren't nothing special, a wild stormfish, nothing to get excited over. But the one what took me bait after that. Finally, after all this time, it were me prize. Come hell or high water, I catch the little blackguard. It could fight all it wanted, but now that I had it at the end of me line, nothing could save it from me. Even if I had to sink the ship to do it, I'd make that fish mine. Even if it snapped me line, I'd dive in after it to nab the damn thing with me bare hands. But fortunately, it never came to that. With me prize securely tucked away with the rest of me fish, I charted a course to the nearest trading post, where I could sell all that I'd caught. After cooking it, of course. And since I had plenty to cook, I figured now would be A good time to catch up with an old friend. Psst. Hey, Jack. You've been warning everyone about the true nature of you-know-who, eh? Funny story, you see. Some time back, I managed to convince Emmerich that his boss back at the shop were secretly a skeleton lord. And I've been keeping that bit going for a while. Please don't tell Sarek that were me. Anyway, between keeping me lie going, catching a couple extra fish there at the seapost, and cooking it all up for sale, well, the time flew right on by. It don't be quite so glorious as most pirate activities, but if you know what to be looking for, it can bring in the gold all the same. And, well, even if it didn't, I still wouldn't mind it so much, if for no other reason than to honor an old friend.